Part 1. You know that moment in a movie where everything just works? The dog brings you the paper, the kids laugh around the breakfast table, your wife kisses you on the cheek with coffee on her breath, and that little morning smirk she saves just for you. That was my life. And I'm not talking about some filtered Instagram illusion either. I mean the real thing. The kind of life that makes you stop mid-bite into your sandwich and think, damn, I really pulled this off. My name's Mike Turner. 35. Husband. Father. Devoted family man with just enough dad jokes to keep the kids groaning and the wife rolling her eyes. I live in a cozy 2-story outside of Austin, Texas. Big porch. White fence. A grill that's practically sacred. 2 kids, Lucas, age 6, obsessed with dinosaurs, and Emma, age 4, who's small but fierce and rules the household with a glitter-covered iron fist. And then there's Jessica, my wife, my best friend, and the woman I still try to impress every single day. She's the reason our house smells like fresh coffee in the morning and lavender at night. She's the reason the kids are dressed like they didn't roll through a tornado. And she's the reason I still believe in happy endings. Blonde, smart as hell, and with a sense of humor that cuts deeper than most comedians, Jessica isn't just my better half. She's the blueprint for what grace under pressure looks like. We met at a tech conference, of all places. She was doing marketing for a cybersecurity firm, and I was giving a talk on server infrastructure. Yes, I'm that guy. She walked in late, sat in the front row, and made me stammer through my last slide with a single smile. 6 months later, we were house hunting. 9 months after that, I was down on one knee with a shaky voice and a ring I couldn't afford. Our wedding? Backyard. String lights. Barbecue catering. Her uncle got drunk and sang Journey karaoke. We danced barefoot on the grass. I wore a tie for 10 minutes before she made me take it off. That was us. Never flashy. Just real. We started small. A fixer-upper in Round Rock with squeaky floors and a stubborn toilet that refused to flush properly unless you whispered sweet nothings to it. But it was ours. We painted the walls together, had paint fights like a bad rom-com, and hung pictures of our goofy faces in every hallway. Then came Lucas. Then Emma. Then Max, our golden retriever who thinks he's people. Life didn't slow down. It shifted. Mornings turned into a circus of cereal spills, missing socks, and where's my backpack panic. But I loved it. I thrived in it. There's something sacred about making breakfast while your daughter dances to cartoons and your son quizzes you about T-Rex teeth. There's something grounding about knowing this noise, this chaos, this perfectly imperfect routine is yours. Jessica and I were a team. We had our rhythm. She handled the birthday parties and Halloween costumes. I did the grilling, bedtime stories, and the occasional dance recital dad duty where I wore a pink tutu under my jacket just to make Emma smile. We collapse into bed most nights exhausted but content. Sometimes we talk. Sometimes we just lay there in silence, our hands touching, the kind of silence that only happens when 2 people are deeply, stupidly in love. And our marriage? It was real. Not fairy tale nonsense, but real. We laughed a lot. We fought, too, over dumb things like toothpaste caps or how to load the dishwasher. Yes, there is a correct way, but we never let those fights linger. We had a rule, never go to bed angry. And we didn't. Every Friday was our night. No kids, no work, no phones. Just us. Sometimes it was pizza and a movie. Other times it was a long drive with the windows down and country music playing while we held hands across the center console. One time, we danced in the living room while our dinner burned in the oven. She was wearing one of my old t-shirts, and I remember thinking, there's nowhere else on earth I'd rather be. Vacations were a little chaotic with the kids, but always memorable. Disney once, never again. Too many strollers, too much screaming, and I think I left a part of my soul in line for the Dumbo ride. But beach trips? Now those were gold. Sandcastles, sunscreen battles, and Jessica reading under a sun while I chased the kids into the waves. Financially, we weren't rich, but we were good. We had enough. Enough to fix the leaky roof, enough to take a trip now and then, enough to buy the good bacon at the store. I was up for a promotion, and Jessica had just landed a big client at her firm. We celebrated with Chinese takeout and bad karaoke in our kitchen, both of us slightly buzzed and completely in love. Evenings were my favorite. After the kids were down, the house would go quiet. We'd pour a drink, sit out on the porch, and just talk. Not about bills or chores, but about dreams, plans, where we'd go when the kids were older, how we'd retire early and live in a cabin somewhere with no neighbors, just trees and each other. Jessica always said, no matter what happens, we stick together. Always. And I believed her. Because why wouldn't I? She was loyal, fierce, funny, mine, and I was hers. If you'd asked me then, Mike, how's life? I would have said this without hesitation. I'm living the dream, man. Really. I got the girl. I got the life. I'm good. And I meant it. Every word. This was the life we built, brick by brick, memory by memory. Perfect? No. But damn close. Part 2. They don't ring a bell when your marriage starts slipping. There's no alert. No sudden boom. It's more like a slow leak in a tire. You don't notice until the steering feels off and the whole thing pulls you somewhere you didn't mean to go. It started simple. Jessica began working later. Not a lot at first. Just an extra half hour here, an occasional client dinner there. I didn't question it. She's ambitious. Driven. That's what I've always loved about her. When you marry someone that's sharp, you expect long hours and busy weeks. Comes with the territory. But then it became more often. Marketing's on fire right now, she'd say with a tired smile, her heels clicking across the hardwood when she came in after 9. We're launching something big. She'd kiss my cheek, head straight to the shower, and by the time she got to bed, she'd be half asleep. No big deal. Busy season. That's what I told myself. Then Friday night, our night, started getting rescheduled. Or skipped. I've got this networking mixer, she said one week. Just drinks. I'll be home before 10. She walked out the door in a dress I hadn't seen before. Black, tight, with a low dip in the back that made my throat dry up. I stood there holding a bottle of wine and a DVD like a high schooler stood up before prom. She came back at 11, tipsy and giggly, tossing her heels on the floor and mumbling something about how marketing guys were the worst dancers on earth. I laughed. Then I stared at the wall after she went to bed. Just a weird week, I told myself. Except weird weeks started stacking on top of each other. She was always tired, always drained. The kind of tired that's more than just physical. Like her mind was somewhere else. I'd ask how her day went and get fine. I'd crack a joke and she'd smile, but it never reached her eyes. She'd scroll through her phone more often, and when I leaned over to glance, she'd tilt the screen just slightly away. Maybe that was the first moment my gut whispered, that's not nothing. But I didn't listen. I trusted her. I wasn't going to be that guy, the paranoid husband sniffing her clothes and checking the mileage on her car. That wasn't me. That wasn't us. Still, I noticed things. Her phone had a new password. She used to leave it everywhere, in the kitchen, on the couch, on the bathroom counter. Now it was always with her. Even in the shower, she'd bring it in and set it on the sink, screen down. Once, I picked it up just to hand it to her. It buzzed in my hand with a message. You're unbelievable. From a contact named Brandon M. When I handed it over, she grabbed it faster than usual. Just a work thing, she said casually. Creative director. He's kind of dramatic. I nodded, but something in her tone felt rehearsed. Brandon. I hadn't heard that name before. But again, I let it slide. Marriage is built on trust. That's what I kept telling myself. Still, I started doing more around the house, like I was trying to buy normalcy. Packed school lunches, handled dentist appointments, fixed the leaky faucet. She used to notice. She'd grab me from behind and say, "What would I do without you?" No? Nothing. Not even a thank you. Sex became mechanical. When it happened, which was maybe twice a month now, it felt like she was elsewhere. Her body was there. Her mind? I don't know. I'd reach for her in bed and she'd gently turn away. Just exhausted, babe. She always said babe when she wanted to end a conversation. One night, we were lying in bed. I rolled toward her and said, "Remember when we used to talk about getting a cabin in the woods when the kids moved out?" She hesitated. Yeah, I guess life just feels heavier now. That stuck with me. Heavy. I started watching her closer. How she'd dress on certain days. Tuesdays and Thursdays, she started wearing perfume. A new one. Something floral and sharper than what she used to wear. I'd ask, "New scent?" She'd smile. Client gift. I went through her closet one Saturday when she was out. Half her wardrobe had tags still on it. Dresses I'd never seen her wear. Lingerie that wasn't for me. Not stuff she'd buy for comfort. Stuff meant to be seen. And I still didn't confront her. I didn't want to believe it. I wanted to believe this was a phase. A rut. A patch of rough water in an otherwise calm sea. But calm seas don't hide phone calls at midnight. One night, I walked into the kitchen to grab a glass of water. Her phone buzzed on the counter. She was in the shower. Another message from Brandon M. I didn't look at it. I didn't need to. Instead, I stood there in the dark, staring at the light-up screen. Not touching it. Just staring. Then I put the glass down and went back to bed. Because what do you do when the woman you love starts becoming a stranger? What do you do when the laughter fades and you're just two people living parallel lives under the same roof? What do you do when just a work thing doesn't feel like enough anymore? You wait. You watch. You wonder. And eventually, you find out. Part 3. The night I found out for sure, it wasn't with some dramatic scream or a shattered glass moment. No fight. No confrontation. Just quiet. Dead quiet. Like the kind that hums in your ears because your brain hasn't caught up to what your eyes just saw. It started with a pill. A small, shiny foil backing I found in the bathroom carpet. A tiny detail. Insignificant to anyone else. But it caught the sunlight just right, glinting like a tiny middle finger from the universe. I wasn't looking for trouble that morning. I was barefoot, walking in to shave before the kids woke up. And there it was. I picked it up, flipped it over. Backing from a birth control pill. Only one problem. Jessica hadn't been on birth control in years. She stopped after Emma was born. And I'd had a vasectomy 2 summers ago, her idea, actually. Said she didn't want to deal with hormones anymore, that we were done building our team. So why the pill? I didn't confront her. Not right then. Something in me clicked. Don't act. Just observe. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was self-preservation. Whatever it was, it told me this wasn't a mistake or a misunderstanding. This was something bigger, and it was about to unravel. That night, after the kids were in bed and she was curled up on the couch watching her show, I opened her work bag while she was in the shower. Not out of rage. Not even curiosity. More like confirmation. I already knew. I just didn't know who. That little strip of pills was tucked in an inside pocket, beneath a planner and a bottle of perfume she'd never worn around me. Same brand as the one she started wearing on Tuesdays. I put it all back. Sat down. Smiled when she walked out in her robe. The next few days, I went full reconnaissance mode. Quiet, calculated, focused. I installed a small voice recorder in her car. Hid one in her bag. Bought a burner phone and cloned hers. I felt like a lunatic, but I needed truth, not assumptions. Emotion wasn't going to get me anywhere. I needed facts. What I found gutted me. It wasn't just a fling. It wasn't just a one-time mistake. It was him. Brandon. Brandon M. Creative director. Married. 2 kids. Guy I met once at her office party. Clean-shaven. Overconfident. The kind of guy who always wears button-downs with the sleeves rolled halfway up to show off fake forearms and just enough cologne to signal he's trying too hard. He sent her a voice message on Wednesday night. I listened to it in my truck while Emma was at dance class. That thing you wore today? Damn. If you weren't married, I'd keep you locked in my office. She replied, playfully. You already do. It kept coming. Texts, calls, little details, inside jokes, meeting times, photos, schedules carefully coordinated down to which hotel had the best parking lot exit so they could avoid being seen. She wasn't just cheating. She was planning it, organizing it, managing it with the same skill she used to build marketing campaigns. The first time they met up was 4 months ago, during one of those networking mixers. And it kept going. Hotels. His condo when his wife was out of town. A weekend trip disguised as a client conference. I listened to it all. Read every message. Watch security footage of her pulling into a hotel parking lot wearing the same red coat she said she bought for office interviews. The hardest part? She sounded happy. She joked, laughed, flirted like she did with me years ago, before kids and mortgages and PDA meetings. And all I could think was, why didn't she fight for that with me? We built this life together. We held hands through birthing classes, painted nursery walls at midnight, sat up with sick kids, paid bills when we were broke and still shared the last slice of pizza. And she traded that in for what? Some douchebag with a good jawline and a corner office? The betrayal wasn't just the sex. It was the ease. The way she lied to my face, kissed our kids goodnight, and then snuck off to meet him. Like she was clocking in and out of 2 separate lives. Like one didn't bleed into the other. But they did. And now, everything was stained. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the guest room staring at the ceiling, listening to her laugh through the wall while she FaceTimed with her friend from college. Her voice light, alive, like I hadn't heard in months. In the morning, she made coffee, kissed my cheek. Same as always. That burned more than anything. She acted like we were fine. Like nothing was wrong. Like I hadn't watched her wrap her arms around another man in grainy black and white hotel security footage. And maybe that's when it hit me. This isn't a mistake to her. It's a choice. A lifestyle. A double life she thinks she can keep spinning. She underestimated me. She thought I'd never look deeper. That I'd stay in my lane, change the oil, mow the lawn, and keep the house running while she played two different games. She thought I was too loyal, too blind, too soft. She thought wrong. I wasn't going to blow up. Not yet. Because this wasn't the end. This was the beginning. The beginning of my revenge. Part 4. There's a moment, right after your world burns down, where you either collapse in the ashes or you start picking through them for weapons. I didn't collapse. I sharpened everything I found. Once I knew the truth about Jessica and Brandon, I didn't confront her. Not yet. She was playing chess with my life. I was done being the pawn. I was ready to flip the board. First thing I did? Lawyer up. Quietly. A friend from college had pivoted into family law, high-end divorce work, specializing in infidelity cases. I didn't ask for pity, and he didn't offer it. That's why I chose him. I gave him everything: messages, audio files, location logs, security cam footage, phone clones. Enough to bury her in court, if it came to that. He leaned back in his chair and said, "You've got the high ground. Just stay quiet, stay smart." And that became the mission. Jessica had no idea I knew. She still kissed me goodbye, still asked me to pick up groceries, still left her lacy little lies between the throw pillows. She thought she was untouchable. She thought I was oblivious. That was her fatal mistake. While she planned weekend escapes with Brandon, I was rewriting our financial structure behind the scenes. Moved half our liquid assets into a separate account. Fully legal, fully traceable, just prepared. I made copies of everything: tax returns, credit card statements, property deeds. Anything tied to our names now had digital backups under mine. She kept living in fantasy. Meanwhile, I was building the stage for her final performance. The second move? Surveillance. I upgraded the house cams: new firmware, remote access, discrete notifications. I knew the blind spots she liked, so I removed them. The bedroom? Covered. The living room? Covered. The garage, where she sometimes had long phone calls in the car? Covered. She had no idea. Brandon came by one afternoon when I was working late. I watched from my office. Watched him walk in like he owned the place. Watched her jump into his arms, laughing, her fingers in his hair. I didn't scream. I didn't punch a wall. I hit record. 30 minutes. That's how long they stayed. Plenty of time to gather evidence. Plenty of time to build the nail for her coffin. Next, I met with Brandon's wife, Naomi. She was taller than I expected. Cold eyes. Smarter than she looked. I showed her what I had. Her face didn't even twitch. "I knew," she said flatly. "I just didn't want to believe it." We agreed to sync our timelines. Divorce filings would drop the same day. Same hour. No warning. Just shock and awe. Tactical precision. I set the date. A Monday. Because starting your week with destruction is a different kind of wake-up call. The Friday before, I laid the final trap. Jessica was heading out for another company offsite. Same bag. Same lies. I offered to drop her at the airport. She declined, of course. Said Brandon's assistant was swinging by. I smiled and said, "Sounds good, babe. Be safe." While she packed, I tucked a printed copy of the hotel reservation under her name and Brandon's in her carry-on. Right next to the lingerie I knew wasn't for me. She didn't notice, and I didn't stop her. That night, while she was sipping overpriced cocktails in a Marriott bar 2 counties over, I was sitting with my lawyer finalizing everything. Divorce papers, custody proposals, financial splits, all lined up, all neat, all devastating. And the cherry on top? I sent Brandon's boss an anonymous tip with proof of his relationship with Jessica. HR policies clearly outlined zero tolerance for intra-office affairs, especially with subordinates. Guess who was Jessica's supervisor? Guess whose promotion depended on keeping a squeaky clean record? Tick, tick, boom. Monday morning, it all detonated. Jessica came home to a perfectly clean house. Breakfast on the table. Coffee hot. Kids already at school. And a manila envelope sitting in the middle of the kitchen island. She picked it up, flipped it open. Inside, divorce papers. Photos. Text messages. Printed transcripts of her voice memos. The hotel bill. A note from Naomi. And a letter from me. "You broke something I would have died protecting. Now you get to keep what you earned. I'm done. Mike." She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She stood there, frozen. Then she called me. I let it ring. Later that afternoon, Naomi served Brandon at his office. right as security escorted him out. Jessica's call log lit up like a Christmas tree. I didn't answer a single one. When she finally showed up at the kids' school, trying to talk to me in the pickup line, I smiled and said, "Please refer all future communication through my attorney." She stared at me like she didn't recognize who I was. She didn't. Because the man she cheated on? The man she underestimated? The man who made her life easy while she made a joke out of our marriage? That man's gone. What she's looking at now is someone reborn in fire. I didn't lose control. Part 5. You ever walk through fire and realize afterward, you're not burned, you're forged? That was me. The version of myself that existed before? The husband, the provider, the loyal soldier always marching behind a woman who was building an escape route while I was building her dreams. He died the day I left that manila envelope on the kitchen counter. And what rose from that day forward wasn't bitter. He wasn't broken. He was done playing house with someone who thought loyalty was optional and integrity was negotiable. Divorce finalized in 73 days. Jessica tried to salvage it at first. Called me, cried, texted late at night like we were still something. Told me it was a mistake. That she wasn't herself. Said Brandon didn't mean anything. You know what I said? Nothing. Not a word. Because people like her don't deserve closure. They deserve silence. Silence is the mirror you make them look into, where they see the truth without you lifting a finger. Naomi took Brandon to court. Full custody. Child support like clockwork. His reputation? Shattered. His career? Over. Turns out companies don't like executives banging their direct reports and hiding hotel bills under conference expenses. Jessica lost her job 2 weeks later. HR restructuring, they said. Funny how karma knows how to use a fax machine. And me? I moved on like a damn freight train. I kept the house. She fought for it. Said the kids needed stability. My lawyer smiled and slid the receipts across the table: title, mortgage, utilities. All in my name. Every damn inch of that house was earned with the sweat of my back and the skin off my knuckles. The judge agreed. She got an apartment across town. The kids stayed with me 5 days a week. I drove them to school, made lunches, did homework at the kitchen table with Emma while Lucas told me about T-Rex facts I never asked for. I didn't cry about the past. I didn't have time. I was too busy living the kind of life she never thought I could build without her. And I thrived. I stopped tiptoeing around people's feelings. I stopped begging to be enough. I started lifting again, running in the mornings, cooking actual meals instead of living off whatever was left in the fridge after the chaos. I upgraded my wardrobe, tossed every shirt she ever picked out, got a new truck, not because I needed it, but because I wanted it. And for once, that was enough. Women noticed. I wasn't looking. Not really. But they noticed. Especially one, Claire. Divorced. 2 kids. Ran her own business. No games. No lies. Just real talk, brutal honesty, and a smile that made you forget what time it was. We grabbed coffee once after a school fundraiser. Talked about life, betrayal, healing. No pretending. No pretending we weren't bruised. But we weren't broken. And for the first time in a long damn while, I laughed like I meant it. I still keep a folder. Locked in a safe. Every photo, message, receipt, evidence of her affair. Not because I need it now, but because I want to remember what never to settle for again. Some nights, after the kids are asleep, I sit on the porch with a cold beer and watch the sun go down. Max sits at my feet, ears twitching at every squirrel in a 5-mile radius. The wind rustles the trees. It's quiet, and I feel peace. Not the fake kind people post online to make their ex jealous. The real kind. The kind that comes when you've been to hell and clawed your way back with nothing but your name and your spine intact. Jessica? She still sends the occasional message. Wants to talk. Hopes we can coexist peacefully. Thinks we owe it to the kids. I let my lawyer handle it. My soul's not available for rent anymore. She gambled a good man for a cheap thrill. And now she gets to watch me build a legacy without her. That's the cruel truth about betrayal. It doesn't destroy strong men. It reveals them. And me? I'm just getting started. I took it back. The end.